From where you come from, in terms of your developmental and approach, unique view on the world, being an economist and the whole financial, how would you summarize the needed transformation that we need to go through? What if you have to, like, if we were to speak to a global team of world leaders sitting in front of us, what would you tell them?
Thank you for asking that question. I have been, just thinking at a lot of different levels around this question of prosperity and how do we actually create a world where there's real prosperity. I mean a broad definition of prosperity, not again just money. And I realized at the end of the day, the way our systems are structured, our economic systems, our political systems, they're there for good reasons because we want to have democratic representation, we want to have a government that represents us, and we want to have an economic system that motivates us. So capitalism and democracy make sense. The problem with it, though, is that capitalism and the corporate structure works so that the wealth owners, the people who have wealth, who are investors, can invest in companies and have those companies create wealth and value, and they want to hire professional managers. They don't want to actually be the people inside the businesses running them from day to day. The problem is when the owners and the managers are two different people, you've inherently got the problem of an agency problem, meaning there's a divergence of interest potentially between the managers and the owners, and so that we call in economics an agency problem. That cannot be solved no matter how much you try. That cannot be solved with any external means. You can try to incentivize them with stock options, pay, board of directors oversight, with takeover markets. There's so many different things that have been brought to bear to try to align the interests of managers and owners. And why am I talking about that? Because fundamentally, the only way you can solve the agency problem at the corporate level is when managers want to do the right thing. And at the governmental level, same thing, an agency problem essentially, because we hire elected officials to do right by the citizenry, but it ends up when they're elected, their main interest is to get reelected. So their interest then ends up being to pander to the electorate and to do what's necessary to get reelected. And again, you can't solve that agency problem. They're hired to do the right thing by the citizens, but we can't make them do the right thing. There's no enforcement mechanism externally that can make them do the right thing. Same thing at the individual level. You can't force someone to exercise, to eat right, to not have lifestyle diseases, to be under so much stress that their heart fails, that they become obese. I mean, we can't legislate good behavior at the personal level. You can't legislate that someone plans financially, that they don't go bankrupt. I mean, there's just so many things we can't legislate. The only way this world is ever going to come to a better place is when the solutions come from inside, which means we've got to learn how to move from below the line, where we're in our reactive fear, scarcity mode, above the line. That's the only reboot that's going to save this world. And it's because of this, again, agency problem or intrinsic problem that you can't regulate from outside.
Tell me more about for people, what is the below the line, and give me more specific.
Below the line is when we're in our ego, when we're completely unaware of what runs us, when we're
unconscious.
When we're unconscious, when we're unaware about the fact that we're reacting a certain way because we're scared, or because we're angry, or because we're ashamed, and we're unconscious of our deeper motivations, and so we end up reacting and not being and being fearful and being, we blame and we justify and we rationalize, and it's all the stuff that we basically do naturally. And we're hardwired, essentially. I mean, the truth is we're hardwired to act like that, and it takes learning to transcend that hardwiring, which we're absolutely capable of. That's the other thing. This world has not been designed with the full spectrum of human potential in mind. We've designed most of our systems with a sense that we're below the line. So economics and political science take any altruistic behavior as an aberration and as a puzzle to be solved. That's because our world is set, sort of the set point is below the line. No one is even thinking we have the potential to be above the line. But we all know great people, great heroes, great things that have happened in this world because people also have the potential to live above the line. But our systems and our mindset and our expectations aren't set there. where we've transcended our ego, we've transcended our, let's say, baseline hardwiring. We've got to reset and reboot the world so that our expectations are now above the line.
So this is when we like. So would you? Yeah, basically what I'm saying that we are here. We need to include all of the consciousness movement on the planet, because consciousness is really a step towards our ability to move above the line.
Absolutely.
It's one thing I hear, and the second thing is I coined it, and the campaign the flag I flew was from me to we. That move from the me, it's all about me generation. Eckhart Tolle in his book New Earth was distinguished beautifully the ego in outside the psychology, but like a phenomenon, like a distinction. So you're saying we must move above the line. Now, above the line, are we also saying that we gotta be moving from egocentric to ethnocentric directly to global centric, to above the line?
Yeah, I mean,
because we gotta be part of the globe.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. From me to we, from egocentric and ethnocentric to global centric, I think is exactly the description of the movement from below the line to above the line. I think I would just add that our instincts, again, we have human instincts. We have a human instinct to take care of ourselves. So we are built to take care of ourselves, which is a good thing. And so to be me-oriented isn't bad. I want people to take care of themselves because I don't want to end up taking care of you. But at the same time, and so the me instinct is healthy from that point of view. The we instinct to be socially oriented and group oriented is also healthy because we are social animals. But that instinct can go wrong when we become tribal, or again, ethnocentric from the point of view of we're okay, you're not okay. And that's again,
which is ego. It's ego in the domain of tribe,
for the group, right?
Like we saw in Yugoslavia, or you see in Syria, or we see in other places of the world.
You take your meanness and you say, well, now it's
my tribe.
But that's still a problem with respect to now I'm not cooperating with other groups or other nations.
Yeah.
So global centric is really the name of the game these days, because, and it's consistent with the consciousness movement, and it's consistent with quantum theory now, which is that we really are, people, we create our own realities.
Let's talk about that for those people who are listening to us from the financial institutions, because I hear controversial, when Prime Minister or the ex-Prime Minister of England, Gordon Brown, introduced a couple of years ago the global society. I heard a couple of dignitaries saying, no, it will never work, we can never become one globe, it will never work. But if you look at the financial world,
we're absolutely already there.
Isn't it one world?
You look at the financial world and you look at the environmental situation, it's clear we're already one world.
Yeah, there's nothing can be solved on a local.
At our human level, we can say, no, it's not possible, but we're really just fighting a very massive trend. So we are already fundamentally interconnected at all levels financially. It's clear from the global crisis and what's happening with the euro. If the euro goes bad, we are all going to suffer, and it's just absolutely undeniable. So let's just live from the perspective that we're already one world, and so if we are, given the state of nature is that we're already one world with global commerce and global financial trade, then the question is just how do we make it work? Rather than keep resisting and saying, no, it can't work, humans will never get to that point. Let's assume humans can make it work. Let's assume we have it within us as individuals and as a society that we can make it work. And let's just create the strategy and the vision and make it work. I think it's just that simple.
And that's part of what you're going to be hearing from us here in People Genius when we come back with Dr. Margaret Smith and other people on our team, but especially when we go back to the whole conversation about rebooting humanity, rebooting organization, and looking at the whole thing from a new point of view, which is global-centric, and as we go along looking at what's going on the planet and pointing to it as an example of what's already happening. Our next conversation will go back to prosperity, the Prosperity Manifesto, which we'll introduce in a minute. Thank you very much for watching. Come back.